of a sudden, Kevin Drake, I don't know if he was the leader of the band, but anyway, he had this gig to do 3 numbers basically for 6 weeks, a series of gigs, and the old pop package shows that used to happen in basically cinemas, ABC Finsbury Park and the Odeon and all these things where they'd take the screen up and they'd have a rock and roll band, well, several rock and roll bands for the night. And I was 63, so 15 going on 16, and I could read music, and I was tall. He spoke to his mother spoke to my mother, they had to go to Bow Street and I had to be signed for and all this stuff because I was underage. And yes, did a couple of numbers for the Terry Young Six opening the show, which had the Beatles and Everly Brothers and Roy Orbison on the same bill, which was absolutely quite incredible for me. I mean, but you know, how to grow up very, very quickly. Oh, all over the country. I think it was for a summer season, for want of a better word. 63, summer of 63, oh, must have done 20 odd shows, maybe more. I really can't remember, it was a bit of this wonderful blur. Travelled in a coach, Roy Orbison didn't, and the Everly Brothers didn't after 2 or 3 times. I think they couldn't quite get into the British humour. There was this sort of like big sort of Pickford's type removal van that carried the equipment. You're talking about minimal equipment in those days. We're not talking like 40,000 watt PA systems and everything else. You're talking like Vox and Marshall columns at either side of the stage. And I don't remember there being such a thing as a wedge monitor or a stage monitor in those days. And I don't really remember anything being mic'd up except the vocal microphones, because in those days the vocal microphones were Reslow ribbon microphones or the Shaw, you know, the big Shaw silver jobby that actually saxophone players used to use, but you see Elvis Presley using one for vocals and things. You're talking 2,000 people listening to a band that couldn't have been pumping out more than 1,000 watts between the lot of them, including the vocals, really. And as most of them sort of like shouted and screamed all the way through, they couldn't have heard bugger all, really. You're talking bands that you played basically to the volume of the drummer, who wasn't mic'd up. And occasionally, I mean, Shea Stadium, I think, was the first time where the Beatles went to Shea Stadium to do their 30-minute set, where things were actually mic'd up. What do you mean you want to mic up the bass drum? Don't be stupid. We've only got a column with 4 10-inch speakers on either side, you know, and that's how it was. So you played to the level of the drummer. And all right, so in those days, I mean, particularly Jim McCarty out at the Yardbirds, now, he was a serious drummer, and he still is today, bless him, still pounding the old skins. And so if you had your 50 watt, 30 watt AC30 flat out, which let's face it, they did, or your treble and bass 100 Selmer or Vox bass, that's all you had. That's what you got on with, if you know what I mean. Fun days. The technology changed so much in 10 years from, say, 63, 64 to 73, 74, how it all changed. Bands didn't change, but their sound and the speakers and everything else did change.